finally. It was part of the village fiesta celebration, the statue of St. Anthony Padua touring the village of Tamuning. The tour was also live streamed on the church's Facebook page. However, the stream came to a sudden end.
I had some unfortunate news during the visit around the Tamuning village. The image statue of St. Anthony, which was placed in the Carossa, has been severely damaged. This image statue has fallen right in our last area, which was right up here in the road. So that statue is no longer vital for the services, and so this image statue now becomes the main statue of St. Anthony here at our church until we can find a replacement statue or new statue that would have to be ordered. So again, I apologize for any of you who perhaps have felt the loss of the statue of St. Anthony, but deep in our hearts we know that St. Anthony continues to be with us, and that this statue is just a representation of his presence, but truly the Lord God's presence is here greatly on this feast of the body of our Lord. So continue the devotion to St. Anthony, and hopefully one day we will usher in a new statue, a new image statue of St. Anthony, a much larger one than this one that's here. This statue actually belongs to the chapel. That is a chapel-sized statue. So the image statue that we are going to be ordering will be as tall as the original statue that we had here for many, many years. So again, the responses I received from many people around the village was overwhelming. They really appreciate the effort of the image statue going around, but unfortunately, that statue has been severely damaged. I'm not sure at what point are we able to repair it, if it's possible, but we'll try to do our best for that. So continue to pray that hopefully soon that we will receive a new image statue of San Antonio.
Again, Mike Crisostomo indicated that they would be replacing the statue of St. Anthony.
All right, and we actually have Mike on the line here, and we'll bring him up. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, Chris and Sabrina.
Good morning.
Well, thanks for coming on, and I guess just take us back, that video.
Yeah, wow.
Very unsettling. I forgot to throw a disclaimer before we played it. I wanted to put that especially for a lot of our more faithful viewers. We're about to play a very graphic and disturbing image of that statue falling. I mean, I showed it to a couple of my aunties yesterday, Mike, and they're like, oh yeah, Viva San Antonio, and they're watching. It's like, oh, whoa.
Yeah, it was very disheartening, to say the least. But yeah, so go ahead, let me know when you're ready.
Go ahead and just take us back to the prep to when it happened, the aftermath.
Sure, we began, it was the intent of our church to bring the statue, much like Sentiment and Cumberland went around, only because, again, of the COVID-19, and we aren't allowed to do our processions. So we decided to bring the image statue, and we were all encouraged by it. And we secured the statue on a base on the Carossa. It was very much secured and on a flatbed, and we proceeded to go through the streets of Tamuning. And at 3 o'clock, we started to go towards the Jonestown and places like that, and people were outside waving and throwing flowers, and it was wonderful. One woman and her son, the woman was in a wheelchair. She was in tears that this image statue would actually be traveling through the streets on her area, and it was just a wonderful feeling until we got to the Oka area, where the roads there were very, very, very damaged and severely almost unapproachable. But the truck just kept tossing and kept going up and down these bumps and going into potholes, and the base of the statue just kept shifting, and it just slowly chipped away into a point where one last bump just kind of triggered it, and it just started to get off its base. And we alerted the driver to stop, and when he did brake and stop, that's when that force of action, and if you can see in the video, that force of action caused the statue to just topple over.
Is there any way? Go ahead. Sorry.
So we were at that point, we were all in shock. No one moved for a few seconds, maybe a minute, just to kind of absorb, like, is this really happening? And it was a beautiful day, and everything as it started. But when we saw that happening, we were just all in awe and we were just in shock.
And then what happened when that moment of confusion ended?
So when we tried to, so when we got down and assessed the damage, and I made the orders to get back to the church and proceed. So we cut the that area short and just moved back to the church. It was already time for the fiesta mass, the fiesta rosary novena to start about 4:30. So we quickly took down the carroza. The guys were really worked well. They quickly took down the carroza from the flatbed, pumped its tires, and put another statue, an alternate statue, to be rolled into the church or to a place of the church where it was. And we were able to continue with the rosary and the mass. And that's when I made the announcement about the statue that was damaged.
How much history was there with this the statue that was damaged, Polly?
This statue actually was over 50 years old. It came from Spain, and there was two Filipino parishioners of ours that already assessed the damage. And yesterday he said he was going to come today, but he came yesterday afternoon because he just couldn't sleep anymore. He kept imagining that statue in pieces. So he came yesterday to actually put the faces together. And because the faces of the face of Jesus and the face of San Antonio were severely damaged, but he actually put it together. He took all these pieces and glued and taped it, and so right now it looked like he had a facial surgery. He has all tape all over, and all you see is the eyes. The eyes were preserved, and so we're hoping that once that tape is removed, you'll actually see his face in better condition than it was on Saturday.
Mm. So and we thought that if if the statue was really unrepairable and too much severely damaged, that we would go off and break off the whole statue to divide it up into pieces for relics for our people to have that relic statue in their places. But it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. It seems like we're going to be able to repair it. Awesome. So how long do you think you're just waiting today to take off the tape and see how it looks?
Correct.
And then, so it was mainly just the face that was cracked?
Yeah. So if you see in the video, when it went, St. Anthony's head went first. It just went down, and that's probably what protected the rest of the statue. It hit head first, and then softened its body area by the flowers and everything that was there to protect it. So it was just probably, again, and I tell people, and I told people this at the Mass, that, in our brokenness, we find our Lord. And I think St. Anthony gave us an example that even in our brokenness, the Lord is the one that makes us heal and makes us whole.
So what was the reaction from the parish, Polly? I mean, because some of them only found out when you said it in Mass, right? Because not everyone was in the procession.
Correct. I received a lot of text messages, a lot of emails, and of course people at the church after Mass, but overwhelming support of please let us know what we can do. Several donors have stepped up, significant donors have stepped up and said, order the statue, ASAP, we'll take care of it.
Wow.
So it was that kind of attitude that the people had, and I was very grateful for that, and very supportive. Let's continue to see what we can do.
All right. Well, that's good to hear that it appears that it is salvageable.
Yeah. Polly, what about
I'll keep you posted.
What about the
please.
fiesta? How did the rest of the fiesta go? Did that kind of like dampen everything after that, or what? Or
It for a moment it did, but for the most part, people continue to celebrate the devotion of St. Anthony. We had all our masses. Basically, our church was at capacity at all the 4 masses that we had. As you know, we are still doing social distancing and 50% capacity. So we had to open up our chapel and our children's church room, which is like our cry room, and for overflows. So people were still coming to pay tribute to the image statue of St. Anthony, and we had another statue outside as an alternate for people to come and venerate.
Mm-hmm. And this particular statue, this is the one that's outside of the church?
No, this statue was inside the church. It's about a 6-footer that had his own, was on his area, pedestal where the candle area is. Mm-hmm. The statue that's outside is marble. That one we can't even move.
Oh, okay.
That's between the school and the church.
Okay.
Polly, so was there a moment where you maybe chewed out the people who were supposed to secure San Antonio?
No, I think just the mere fact that they knew that they were responsible for it was enough, and I felt for them. I really did. Even the driver was really.
Well, you could
back
see
in.
it. You could see it on the live stream and hear it a little bit. It was like,
Correct.
oh.
He was. He got out of the truck. The driver got out of the truck, and he was ready, falling on his knees, begging for mercy, not realizing what happened, and just seeing what had happened. It's just amazing, and we're able to do what we can do to repair it.
Did you guys have food, Polly?
No food, no tato tomatoes at Piscina.
All right, well, Viva San Antonio! Viva! Right on, there you go.
And I look forward to some of those mangoes, Chris.
Yeah, you got it, Polly. Of course. I'll make sure to.
Have a good day.
I'll make sure
All
to
right.
secure it good.
Oh. Take care.
All right, thank you, Polly, Mike, and God bless you.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah. I just put that video on my family chat. I don't know if my mom got to the part where San Antonio fell, though, because I put the video in, and right away she was like, Viva San Antonio. I'm like, Mom, get past that first minute.
You didn't give her a heads up.
It's 6:58. So there was some stuff with the Department of Labor, Bree, that came out over the weekend, right?
Oh, yeah. First, for those of you who are still trying to apply for PUA, the online appointments or the in-person appointments, I'm sorry, it's opened over at the Guam Community College. You do have to make appointment over the phone, and then you can go in based on what you're scheduled for. But I think the first couple of hours, though, it's set aside for the Menemco and veterans and people with disabilities. But again, over the weekend, the Department of Labor issued a press release